7 o'clock.
And we're recording?
And we're recording.
Okay, then we'll get started. Good evening, folks. Welcome to the West Rock Hill Township Board of Supervisors meeting of 15 December 2021, our last regularly scheduled meeting of the year. For those of you that are new to our meeting, I'm David Collingwood, Chairman of the Board of Supervisors. I'm joined by fellow supervisor, Mr. Jim Miller, Vice Chair, and member Jay Kaiser. I'll call tonight's meeting to order with Pledge of Allegiance. You the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty, justice for all. And justice. This meeting is being held virtually and will be recorded. At its conclusion, Mr. Lippincott will post the meeting on the Township's YouTube channel. A link to the meeting can be found on the Township's website at www.westrockhilltownship.org. I'd like to remind everyone that we'll be following the West Rock Hill Township policies for public meetings and the rules that apply, as listed on page 2 of the meeting agenda. Please silence your cell phones and mute your computers until you wish to speak. Are there any public comments on agenda items as listed? If so, please state your name and address. Hearing none, I'll move on to announcements. The Board of Supervisors will have an executive session following tonight's meeting to discuss legal and real estate matters. I'd now like to read a resolution of appreciation for Mr. James E. Miller, Jr. It's resolution number 2021-10, West Rock Hill Township, Bucks County, Pennsylvania. A resolution of the West Rock Hill Township Board of Supervisors recognizing and honoring Supervisor James E. Miller, Jr. It reads as follows. Whereas the welfare and strength of a community depends on the dedication, commitment, and efforts of not only its residents and its employees, but upon its leadership as well. And whereas it is the intent of the Board of Supervisors of West Rock Hill Township to acknowledge and give special recognition to those who serve this community. And whereas Supervisor Miller has tirelessly dedicated 6 years of elected service as a member and 2 times past chairman of the West Rock Hill Township Board of Supervisors. And whereas Supervisor Miller's long-standing history of volunteerism in West Rock Hill Township is admirable and selfless, including his past service as chairman of the Joint Recreation Authority and chairman of the West Rock Hill Township Park and Recreation Committee. And whereas Supervisor Miller has diligently served as a West Rock Hill Township Supervisor representative to the Regional Police Commission. And whereas Supervisor Miller was instrumental in obtaining a grant for the installation of the EV charging station at James Park, as well as the solar array installation at the municipal building, which is anticipated to provide electricity for township-owned properties for years to come. And whereas Supervisor Miller has demonstrated fiscal responsibility throughout his years of service to West Rock Hill Township taxpayers, and along with his fellow supervisors, has managed to maintain the lowest tax rate of any municipality in Bucks County with their own full-time police department. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the West Rock Hill Township Board of Supervisors do hereby recognize, acknowledge, and extend heartfelt appreciation to Supervisor James E. Miller, Jr. for his many contributions to West Rock Hill Township and its residents over the years, and offers best wishes for the continued success in all future endeavors. Presented this 15th day of December 2021 by the West Rock Hill Township Board of Supervisors, David Collingwood, Chairman, Jay Kaiser, Member. And Jim, I'd like to add my own personal thanks. It's been a pleasure and an honor to serve with you on the Board of Supervisors.
Well, I saw this on the announcements, and I did not go out and read it purposely. I'm overwhelmed right now, so I really want to thank everybody that I've worked with along the way. It's been such a huge, wonderful experience, and all the people that worked along beside me without doing volunteer work, I really want to thank them too. I'll get around to thank everyone later, but for now, I just want to say thank you to everyone, and I will miss these positions, but time moves on, so thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I may say a word, please.
You may. Thank you.
Okay. Jim, I want to thank you very much as well. You and I have served many years in the Park and Rec before you became a supervisor. And I know that your efforts and your commitment have made the community a better community. So I want you to know I do appreciate everything you have done for this township and everything that you will do in the future as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Jay. Appreciate that very much too.
Okay. I'd like to move on to the consent agenda. The consent agenda includes the November 17th, 2021 meeting minutes, the wind plan review status escrow release vouchers, $2,500 donation to the Penn Ridge Community Center, the emergency services report, building zoning and building permit report, public works report, park and rec report, joint recreation authority report, and the treasurer's report and payment of bills. And Mr. Lippincott will now review the treasurer's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll go over the funds ending November 30th, 2021. The first one is the general fund with $732,789.16. Highway aid, $92,571.67. Open space, $1,273,386.54. The Park and Rec Fund, $32,265.64. The Equipment Fund, $34,110.07. Highway Capital, $129.84. Streetlight, $35,975.60. The reserve funds, the general fund reserve, $394,497.38. The American Rescue Funds, $273,493.21. The Open Space Manderfield, $51,377.48. The Sewage Maintenance Fund, $184,293.21. Stormwater Fund, $8,333.69, and the escrow funds, $2,386,836.96.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments from the Board of Supervisors on the consent agenda?
I have none.
I have none. I'd make a motion we approve the consent agenda as presented.
I will second.
Thank you. Thank you both. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All right, thank you. We will now move on to confirmed appointments. I believe we have a Mr. Dietzold that's going to make a presentation this evening. Is Mr. Dietzold here?
Yes, I am.
Okay, Mr. Dietzold, before we begin, just some ground rules. You have 5 minutes to make your presentation. at which point a township staff will respond to your previously submitted questions, and per township policy, there will be no prolonged dialogue permitted after your presentation. So Mr. Dietzold, you may proceed.
It's Dietzold, by the way.
Thank you.
I basically sent in two agenda items, one being the trash issue, which apparently I didn't include any questions, so I can't talk about this now. I'll address that later on. And the second was the budget. And I had sent a list of questions to Greg relative to the budget. And if you could just basically go down the list and explain what goes on with the budget process. I mean, I've attended 2 meetings and heard nothing relative to the budget other than it was flat on a year to year. I'm not sure what the process is to review the budget or anything else. I would just like to understand exactly how it's done.
All right, thank you. With that said, Mr. Lippincott, would you take the lead on this?
Sure. There was a list of questions. Please explain the budget process, how it was constructed, zero-based, etc. The budget is zero-based. The money coming in is budgeted to be spent in that year. In the last 14 years, the township has never been in the negative. We've always been in the positive. How is it constructed department by department? The budget is constructed by looking at the revenues from previous years and getting the best estimates of what we can do for the upcoming year. Who reviews the details? Who's it reviewed with? The review process, the number one expense the township has is the Penridge Regional Police. The Regional Police does their own budget. It's put together by the chief, the Public Safety Committee, and the Police Commission, which is then forwarded on to the Board of Supervisors. However, the Police Commission is the one who approves it. The rest of the budget is prepared by the township manager along with input from staff. That budget is then drafted and passed on to the Board of Supervisors at the October meeting, and then it's advertised for the November meeting, and it's adopted in the December meeting. The next item is year-to-date actuals for the 2021 budget. We're not done for the year for 2021, so we don't have actuals so far until the year's done. All our things are audited. We have a auditing firm that audits us. Tax revenue forecasted versus the budget. The township has exceeded revenues that were budgeted in 2021. So this year has been a good year for revenue. Develop a plan assuming 5 to 10% reduction. That's a statement, not really a question. That was a policy decision always by the Board of Supervisors. Review of the solar project, $375,000 spent. It was actually $169,000 spent. The township plans on giving a full accounting of the solar panels after it has run for 1 year. And it's important that it has run for 1 year because that way we've gone through all the issues with PP&L. We get tax credits back over the course of the year when we sell our SRECs. And just based on the sun, we produce more in the summer than we do in the winter. So come June of 2022, the township will be giving a full accounting of the solar panels. The last thing is right to know. You would like to review details. The budget is up on the website. You can also fill out a right to know form. Anyone can fill out a right to know form and for whatever you're looking for, and we'll provide the documentation.
Okay, let me ask a couple of questions, please. The point I was getting at with year-to-date actuals versus your 2021 plan, are you underrunning on expenses and overrunning on revenues? Is that reflected in your 2022 budget?
No, it's year 2022. We do zero-based. We estimate on what is coming in, and that's what we estimate.
I understand. But where are you at in 2021? Where do you believe you'll be? You got 2 weeks to go. I think you would have a pretty good idea where you're going to end up at this point, no?
I think we'll end up with a little bit of money, not a lot. I think we'll end up in the black. We've ended up in the black in the positive the last 14 years. So
what's a little bit of money? What does that mean?
I'll have a better idea closer to the end of the year.
Now, any shortfall or any does that fall into the next year, or how does it come up? What happens? If you
Yeah.
underspent this year and you have more surplus, does that come out of next year, or is that basically, how does that work?
That just stays into our general fund unless the Board of Supervisors authorize it to go into the reserve fund.
How often did the Board of Supervisors review the plan? Let me ask you that.
I give it to them in October.
And that's in a separate meeting or not part of the Board of Supervisors meeting?
It is given to them at the Board of Supervisors meeting on October, and then it is presented like you saw in the November meeting.
Yeah, I didn't see it, but anyway, let me ask you a question relative to, I saw the article, I guess, in the Reporter, and one of the items basically is the fringe benefits or the employee benefits around the housing. What salary base is that against? It doesn't include the police, I'm assuming, or does it?
No, that does not include the police.
And so what is this?
Charles, excuse me, just one moment here. I want to remind you that the policy is there's not going to be a prolonged dialogue following your presentation. Your time is, I believe, has been exceeded at this time. Is that correct, Mr. Lippincott?
I was answering questions. I don't have a specific timer running as of yet, like I usually do.
All right, I have 30 seconds, Ms. Charles.
Well, answer the question, please, relative to the employee benefits. What is the salary base against that 256,000?
It's not salary based. There's different types of benefits such as life insurance, workers' comp, all those types of things. Health insurance, they're not based off of salaries other than workers' comp.
Thank you very much. We are going to move on.
Talk to you later.
Appreciate you coming out this evening and appreciate your questions, and hopefully we've answered them. We are now going to move on to committee reports. We'll start with the Planning Commission report, Mr. Chris Durstein.
All right, thank you. I'd like to start off by giving Jim a shout out. Your efforts were tireless, and the township certainly benefited by having you around. So thank you for your efforts, and good luck to you in the future.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate that.
You're very welcome. All right. So Planning Commission met last night. We had one applicant being TH Properties. As you're well aware, they're proposing to develop the 0.7 acre lot on the former Precision Finishing parcel. It's at Lawn and Farmers in the IS district. They are now proposing 72 units instead of 73. Age qualified community consisting of townhouse dwellings under the use B10. They have reconfigured their prior plan, and they now conform with setbacks and street width, which were a sticking point with the township on their previous plan. So they got that cleaned up. A couple of discussion items. They show a 650-foot long cul-de-sac with 19 dwellings.
I think we lost him with his internet.
Chris Durstein, can you hear us?
He froze up.
Give him a minute. There he is.
Can you hear me?
We can.
All right. I'm sorry. I don't know what happened there. Did you hear the discussion about the cul-de-sac? Hello?
You were just starting the discussion about the cul-de-sac.
Okay. I'm sorry. Thank you. Okay. So they're showing a 650-foot long cul-de-sac with 19 dwellings. Saldo allows for 800 feet, but only 12 dwellings. So they are looking for a waiver on that. They've included a 15-foot emergency access road, paved emergency access road that connects the cul-de-sac bulb to an interior road. And they also have public water there. So 80% of the PC members were comfortable granting a waiver. assuming the fire marshal has no issues with the plan. They also are looking for a waiver for driveway distance from an intersection, which Saudo calls for a minimum of 60 feet. They have their one dwelling is as close to the intersection of the public road that is shorter than 60 feet. So they can possibly reconfigure a little bit to try to get a little more distance there. I don't know if they're going to come up with that 60 feet, but it will be better. So we'll see what they come back with. One very interesting stickler for the project has to do with site distance at Farmers Lane and Hidden Meadows. McMahon did the traffic study, and they state that the site distance to the south is inadequate. THP has been trying to negotiate something with the corner property owner with no luck. So we're at a bit of an impasse there. They do question, I mean, this is a public road. They question if it is unsafe at this point, you know, before this project was to go through. They're calling it unsafe for their project, but we already have, you know, Hidden Meadows back there already using the intersection on a daily basis. So there's some scuttlebutt there. They're going to resubmit or submit their new plan. The traffic study folks haven't seen their new plan, but it doesn't really change much for the intersection out there, if anything. But we'll see if McMahon has a change of heart about it. So we were certainly uncomfortable with considering recommendation with that hanging over it. So that, I mean, that's it in a nutshell with them from last night. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer them.
This is Steve. Could I just clarify one item?
Yes, please do.
Hidden Meadows Drive. Hidden Meadows Drive is a private road.
It is a private road. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Obviously, you know, it comes out to the Township Road, but the age-restricted communities in the back there are accessed all by a private road.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I was at the meeting. I have no questions. I don't know if there's any other comments or questions by anyone else on the Board of Supervisors.
I attended the meeting also. I heard all the questions and answers last night, so I have no further questions either.
I have no questions. I think Chris did a good job.
Excellent. Okay. I will make a motion then to approve the.
I'm not done yet.
I'm sorry. I thought you were. I thought you were going to keep this short and sweet.
Well, I just wanted to make one more comment.
Go ahead, Chris. I'm sorry.
No problem. Next month, it looks like Planning Commission has a light agenda. So we are going to revisit discussion on cul-de-sac standards and also start discussion on the comprehensive plan action items and try to come up with something there to keep that moving forward.
Excellent.
And that is my report.
Okay. Thank you. With that, I'll make a motion to approve the Planning Commission report.
I'll second.
Second. Thank
Yep.
you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Planning Commission report is approved as presented. We'll move on to the Conservation Committee report. Is Mr. Schreimeyer here?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Michael? Yes, we can.
Okay. The Conservation Committee is a group of volunteers that help interested landowners conserve their properties through the Pennsylvania Open Space Law. Our last Conservation Committee meeting was held on November 18th, and highlights are the following. The Conservation Committee had an interview with one of the two new member candidates. The other candidate is scheduled for an interview at the January meeting. The new open space signs, David Collingwood spoke with Horizon Signs owner Kevin Price. 5 new signs will be manufactured and acreage ovals will be created. The informational portion of the new signs will be made of aluminum instead of the hard foam core material used previously. I think they look very much like most of the street signs you see made of aluminum right now. Existing posts and brackets will be the same, and these signs will just be slid into the brackets. Acreage ovals will be added to all open space signs, and the sign work is planned for the spring of 2022. Our preserved property map that we put into the newsletter was up for discussion. We discussed potential changes to the preserved property map to make it more informative. The committee is currently gathering information for discussion at future meetings. Our meetings are held on the third Thursday of odd numbered months at 7 p.m. and posted on the township website. The next meeting is scheduled on January 20th, 2022. Thank you.
That's it. Thank you, Mr. Trimer. Any comments or questions by the Board of Supervisors?
I have none.
I have none either. I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you. I will second that motion. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Conservation Committee report is approved as presented. We'll now move on to commission reports. Chief Dickerson, police report.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I have the December Chiefs report for you. The December Chiefs report covers the stats and information from November of 2021. For the month of November, 688 calls for service. Of those calls, 316 of them were in East Rock Hill. The remaining 372 were in West Rock Hill. The department handled 32 traffic crashes in November. 19 crashes were in East Rock Hill, 13 were in West Rock Hill Township. 10 were reportable crashes, and the 20 remaining were non-reportable crashes. Our officers reported a total of 37 crimes in the month of November. 9 of them were Part 1 crimes, and the remaining 28 were Part 2 crimes. Your Part 1 crimes are your more serious crimes, while your Part 2 crimes are your more minor crimes. East Rock Hill's reported crimes were simple assault, 4 thefts, 1 fraud, 1 criminal mischief, 1 possession of a weapon on school property, narcotics, DUI, harassment, trespass, local ordinances. 2 were dog law violations, 2 were fireworks complaints, 2 nuisance ordinances, and 1 burning complaint. In West Rock Hill, we had a domestic assault. We had 2 thefts, a receiving stolen property, narcotics, 2 DUIs, disorderly conduct, and a local ordinance violations were 6 dog law violations and 1 nuisance ordinance violation. Criminal charges filed for the month of November, 3 for simple assaults, 1 aggravated assault, 1 strangulation, 5 charges of DUI, 3 charges of harassment, 1 charge of disorderly conduct, 2 charges of possession of drugs, 2 charges of possession of drug paraphernalia, excuse me, possession of a prohibited weapon, 1 charge, of theft, 2 charges of theft, 1 charge of receiving stolen property, and another charge of driving while suspended as a habitual offender. We conducted 181 traffic enforcement details, issued 12 citations, 46 warnings. We conducted 27 school checks, 103 park checks, and 7 foot patrols in the month of November. So far for the year, we had 8,365 calls for service, 253 traffic accidents, excuse me, 380 yearly offenses, and we filed 126 criminal charges for 2021. And that would be the December Chiefs report.
Okay, thank you very much, Chief. Any comments or questions by the Board of Supervisors?
I have none.
Okay. All right, hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve the police report as presented. May I have a second?
I'll second it.
Oh, Jay did. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Kaiser. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, the police report has been approved as presented. Thank you, Chief. We'll now move on to the tax collector's report. Is Suzanne Clark available?
I am here.
Great.
Okay, closing up the year. So far in December, I've collected $711.39 in annual taxes. And, whoops, wait a second. And $98.71 in interim taxes. And as of today, December the 15th, if anyone needs to pay their tax bill, I can only accept a bank certified check until December 31st.
Right.
So that's my report.
Thank you very much. Any comments or questions by the Board of Supervisors? on
Oh,
the
but
tax-
one more thing.
One more?
One more thing I just want to say to Jim, that I will truly miss you around for volunteering and working with you. It does break my heart, but we'll still be in touch.
Absolutely, Suzanne. I don't plan on moving anywhere soon.
Good. That's what I like to hear.
Excellent.
That's it.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Mhm.
Any other comments? If not, I'll look for a motion to approve the tax collector's report as presented.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Mr. Kaiser. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you. The tax collector's report is approved as presented. We'll now move on to the engineer's report. Mr. Bala.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the only item I have under my report today is actually an East Rock Hill project, the Cannon Track subdivision. But due to its location along Old Bethlehem Pike, which is a border road between East and West Rock Hill Township, there's an issue that East Rock Hill has put on from West Rock Hill Township. So if you're familiar with this site, it's generally along Old Bethlehem Pike, just north of 3 Mile Run Road. And it is designed for roughly a 50-50 split of townhouses and single-family homes with a total of 198 units. East Rock Hill Township was concerned with the traffic at the intersection of 3 Mile Run and Park Avenue. Based on the traffic studies, that intersection did not warrant a traffic signal, but it did meet warrants for a roundabout. So the township is investigating installation of a roundabout at the intersection. It would be what they refer to as a mini roundabout, smaller than the ones up in Richland Township, but the same concept. Part of the reason why it's smaller is they're trying to minimize what right-of-way would have to be taken from private property owners, because there's no developer-owned property at the intersection. It's a little bit off-site from the main development. So where West Rock Hill comes into play is Old Bethlehem Pike, as you're aware, branches off of, if you go straight through, you end up on Park Avenue at 3 Mile Run Road. And then there's that, we'll call it a Y in the road to continue along Old Bethlehem Pike. And the East Rock Hill and the traffic engineer for East Rock Hill had some concerns on the proximity of that intersection to the roundabout, and whether or not a lot of vehicles would tend to go down Old Bethlehem Pike to avoid the roundabout. There was also some concern with truck travel through the roundabout. As you're aware, roundabouts are designed that center island is relatively flat, so trucks could drive over it, which works perfectly when you're going straight through, say you're on Park Avenue and go straight through, or you're on 3 Mile Run and go straight through. It's a little more difficult if a truck has to go make a turn, go 3/4 of the way around the roundabout. In any event, I believe Mary Ann Morano, the manager from East Rock Hill, had sent you a letter, a schematic of what the roundabout would be, and then attached to that was a little sketch that showed some potential traffic restrictions. And in general, it was to make that branch of Old Bethlehem Pike sort of in the triangle between Old Bethlehem Pike, Park Avenue, and 3 Mile Run, make that one way, and we'll say going south towards towards the White Horse. So trucks that were coming down Old Bethlehem Pike could continue along Old Bethlehem Pike and not have to go through the roundabout if they chose not to. Going north on Old Bethlehem Pike from the White Horse area, it was proposed to restrict trucks from going north of Old Mill Road, so they weren't forced to make the turn on 3 Mile Run and go through the roundabout. So the trucks could use Old Mill Road to get from Old Bethlehem Pike out to Bethlehem Pike. That's the short version of what's being proposed. We're still waiting on a full plan from the township's traffic engineer, who is TPD in this circumstance. So we don't have the final plan yet. We expect to have that by the end of the year. But East Rock Hill wanted to make you aware of what is being discussed and get your input or comments on these possible traffic changes along Old Bethlehem Pike. So I'll leave it at that unless someone has some specific questions.
What I'd like to do is, before I ask for comments or questions by the other supervisors, my opinion is that since East Rock Hill is just in the process of investigating this, as you said, and the fact that we just recently received this notification, it would be my recommendation that we table this pending further review. With that said, I don't know if the other supervisors have anything they want to comment or say or question.
Well, in my opinion, I think Jay has a lot more experience than I do in this, since he does drive a truck and goes up and down the roads. But I would kind of agree with you, David, in that we don't know exactly how this is going to end up. So we may do a lot of talking kind about something that never happens. So.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Chairman, I share your concerns and thoughts, and I think that we should table it until we see further discussion and views of what's going to happen there for sure.
All right, thank you. Mr. Bala, do you have anything else you want to discuss or at your report?
No, on this front, I'll make East Rock Hill aware that you're waiting for the final design plan, which I think I said I anticipate by the end of the year or the first week in January.
Perfect.
Other than that, I do not have anything else on my report unless there's any questions.
I don't believe there are. Hearing none, I'll make a motion that we approve the engineer's report as presented this evening.
I'll second.
We have a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the engineer's report, thank you, is approved as presented. We'll now move on to the solicitor's report. Solicitor Everly.
I have no items under my report this evening, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Therefore, we do not need a motion to approve. But thank you very much. Any questions or comments by any of the other board members to the solicitor?
I have none.
All right, hearing none, we'll move on to what looks to be a rather large township manager's report. Mr. Lippincott.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll try to get through it as quickly as possible. The first thing is the 2022 budget for adoption. This is what was presented at last month's meeting. It's been publicly advertised. It's been on display on our website and at our front counter. Don't know if you want to go through to the next slide, Sherry. That is our millage rate. 2022 has no proposed taxes. We are the lowest with a full-time police force. You want to go to the next slide. In the 2022 budget process, $280,000 will be allocated for road repair. 2021, it was $411,322. However, this year we are proposing to do a salt shed for $90,000. The Holiday House pool budget is $13,000 for 2022. And there is a change in the Penridge Regional Police. It's at $1,170,827. In 2021, it was $1,093,889. Other than that, the numbers are all typical of what we usually do.
Thank you. So let's just break this down item by item. The 2022 budget for adoption. Are there any, I know we've seen it since October. Any other comments or questions by the Board of Supervisors?
I have none.
If not,
I have none.
We'll look for a motion to approve the 2022 budget.
I'll make a motion to
I think-
approve the budget.
I'll
Thank you.
second it.
And a second, we have both. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Thank you. The 2022 budget is approved as presented. Mr. Lippincott, next item.
The next item in your packet, you have an email from Carol Strobel resigning from the Joint Rec Authority. What I'm looking for from the Board of Supervisors is to accept her resignation and to advertise for the vacancy on the Joint Rec Board.
So that we will be looking for a motion to accept that resignation and to advertise the vacancy. Any questions or comments by the supervisors? If not, I'll look for a motion for that, to accept that resignation and to advertise.
I'd like to make a comment. I'd like to make a comment if I may, there, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make public comment thanking Carol Strobel for her efforts and volunteerism on that Joint Rec Authority.
Nice
So
touch.
thank you.
I'd like to add to that if I could. Carol Strobel was not just very active on the board, but before that, she was a big volunteer at the pool. She was out there on many occasions helping me with painting and scraping and everything else. So I also want to thank her for her diligence there also. Thank you. And I'll make a motion to approve the resignation and to advertise.
I'll
Thank
second
you.
it.
Yeah.
We have a second. We have a motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 So approved. Mr. Lippincott, the third item on your report.
Sure. The next item is we have a resignation from the Zoning Hearing Board. Terry Lighty, the Zoning Hearing Board alternate, is sent a letter in resigning from the Zoning Hearing Board. So I would like you to accept his resignation and advertise for the Zoning Hearing Board vacancy.
Questions, comments by the other supervisors?
I have none.
I have none, other than I'd like to thank Terry Lighty for
Yes.
volunteering on the Zoning Hearing Board as well, and thank him for all his time and efforts. And with that, I would make a motion to accept his resignation and to allow the manager to advertise.
And I will second that. And I also want to thank Terry for all of his efforts in the township.
Thank you both. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, we have the resignation approved and the advertisement approved. Mr. Lippincott, the next item on your report.
Sure, thank you. In your packet is the electronic payment procedures. These procedures were drafted by Sherry and our township auditors. They go through a procedure on how the township can pay bills electronically. Currently, there are some bills that we are having problems with, such as the PP&L, the Verizon bills. We're getting them so late in the mail, the day we open them, they are due. And then board meet once a month to pay bills. So there is a procedure here where we can now pay it electronically, so we will not incur late fees. This procedure would then have the township manager sign off on the electronic payment and also one supervisor sign off, similar to the checks. However, there will not be a check created, and this will be only for bills where we're going to incur a late fee. This is not for regular bills or anything like that. It's just, you know, the PP&L bills, the Verizon bills, any bills that the Lowe's bill, anything that is from something that we will get a late fee. The rest will still continue to be paid by check. But it kind of goes through the procedure and the requirements. I didn't know if the board had any questions.
I would just like to say a couple things about this. I am so happy the township is finally coming out of the dark ages and using the electronics, procedures as we should have been doing for years. Secondly, I just want to confirm that these payments will be available to the public just as all the other bill payments are. And I want to make sure from a transparency perspective, everyone understands that.
Yes, they will still show up on our bills list that we post up on our website as part of the consent agenda. The bills will be posted every month. Everybody will get to see all the bills that are posted there in that detail. However, these bills will stop incurring late fees from Verizon and whatnot.
And the two signatures required are exactly the same as if we were cutting a check, because the checks also require two signatures as well, correct?
Correct. It would be the same. It's the same as the check, except it's done electronically.
I would make a motion to approve the electronic payment procedures.
I'll
I
second
would
it.
second that.
Oh, all right.
Oh,
Well,
we got
go ahead, David. You're good.
Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, so we have a motion. We have a second to approve that procedure. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
All right.
Aye.
Okay, it is then approved. Mr. Lippincott, the next item on your manager's report.
Okay, the last item on my manager's report, at the last meeting, the Board of Supervisors asked me to get a quote for a cabinet out front in the front for the front display. I received one from Christian Durstein. He's the one that did the front of the township building, so he'll make it look exactly the same so that it will match. The cabinetry will be constructed of solid red oak and red oak plywood. The base to have a 4 overlay style, flat panels with soft close hinges. The base to have compartments, 2 adjustable shelves per compartment. The top shelves will be constructed to accept glass shelves and lockable sliding glass doors. Glass shelves and locking slide doors will be provided and installed by others. The cabinetry stain will match the stain color of the front desk, and the top 3 coats with a catalyzed lacquer. The display cost as proposed will be $2,500, and a deposit of amount of $750 is required to secure the order.
Thank you. I'll look for comments and or questions by the board.
Okay, I will make a comment. I know Jay and I have different opinions on this, and my opinion is that all these artifacts belong to the township. The Historical Society is the custodian of those assets, but those assets are ours. And I would be thrilled to have them displayed in our lobby for everyone that comes in the building. I'm also thrilled about the fact that they would be built by our wonderful carpenter and cabinet maker, Chris Durstein, who is also a member of West Rock Hill. So in my opinion, I think we should move forward to this with this.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, may I speak?
You may.
Okay. I share Jim's comments regarding Chris Durstein's skills and ability, and also how nice the cabinet would be. Where I differ is I believe that the Historical Society should be paying for any cabinet built to display their artifacts. As we stated last month, the Historical Society wanted the house across the street to move their stuff over there. Therefore, I believe the Historical Society should be responsible for any costs for any cabinet made. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah, I'd like to make a comment as well. And I think it's something that needs to be said to clear the air. One of the reasons, and full disclosure, I'm a member of the West Rock Hill Historical Society, but I'm now speaking as a supervisor. The West Rock Hill Historical Society chose to leave the township in order to be able to be afforded grants, something they couldn't do if they were a part of the township structure. They were not given the house across the street. They worked with the board for almost 8 years to finally come to an agreement where they could rent the house. And in those 8 years, that house was just left derelict. and totally went downhill, where it was either fix it or knock it down. And to date, the Historical Society's put about $60,000 in a building that belongs to the taxpayers, belongs to the residents of this township. And for no other reason, as Mr. Miller has said, these artifacts belong to the residents, as does this house. And I don't think it's a stretch based on the efforts that the Historical Society has made to save that building and give back to the township. I don't think it's anything of a stretch to not have their artifacts, the township artifacts, displayed in the township building. So for that reason, I will agree with Mr. Miller. And I would assume if
I would like to make a motion to move forward with the $2,500 and have Mr. Chris Durstein build the cabinet and put our artifacts in it.
You're forgetting something there, fellas. What about the glass and the isn't the estimate incomplete?
the estimate is complete based on the $2,500 that was proposed by Mr. Durstein. The glass is something outside his purview and would have to be installed by someone like Alderford Glass at an additional cost. Yes.
Yeah, right. See, so that's not the total cost. You don't have the true entire estimate. All you have is an estimate for the cabinet. You don't have an estimate of what it's going to cost for the glass. What are you just going to tell Greg to do whatever it takes to get the glass put in there? This is wrong. This is not done the proper way. And as far as the house across the street, Mr. Collingwood, the township spent tons of money getting that house so that it could be fixed up and be given to the historical society. And if you want, Mr. Lippincott can identify those costs and how much money we spent, which you have condemned the township in the previous Board of Supervisors for spending so much money over there. So we have spent money, the taxpayers, to help the historical society rebuild and use that house as a home. I'm not in any way not supporting the historical society. I am saying clearly, I believe all historical society issues and things, artifacts, should be paid for by the historical society and not the taxpayers. That's all I'm saying. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any other comments or discussion?
Do we have any idea how much this glass is going to cost? Did I hear there was two shelves?
And 2 shelves, and there will probably be the glass that goes inside of it so that it can be displayed. So
Right.
I do not know how much the glass will cost.
Well, I think we should know that.
Mr. Chairman, this is Chris Durstein. Can I chime in?
You may.
Yeah, the configuration for the top of this cabinet was to be built to have supports mounted to the back of the cabinet to support glass shelves, and to have it built to accept lockable glass doors. If you would like, I can take the plan up to Alderford Glass and get an estimate on cost.
I think we should do that, Chris. In my opinion.
I'm more than happy to do that. I don't want to get involved in the politics of this. But I will do what I can to make it a simpler process.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So therefore, Mr. Miller, you're going to withdraw your motion, or are we going to move forward with your motion in addition to having Mr. Durstein figure out?
I think we need to get the cost.
All right, that's fine.
So I'll withdraw.
Thank you. Okay. Any other discussion? Mr. Lippincott, do you have anything else you want to say in your report?
That is all I have for my report.
Okay, thank you.
I'll make a motion to accept the township manager's report.
I'll second it.
Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, thank you. The township manager's report is approved as presented. Thank you, Mr. Lippincott. We will now move on to old business. Anyone?
I have some old business I would like to speak, if that's okay, Mr. Chairman.
You may.
Okay, on the middle of May, actually 7 months ago yesterday, we turned on our solar array and it started producing electricity. And since this is my last meeting, I would definitely like to just give you an update where we are now. And I would like the board's permission to come back in June of 2022 and give you a first year report. I'll work with the township on that as we move forward. Greg, if you wouldn't mind, if you would put up our display panel, I would appreciate that if you have it handy. Meanwhile, let me say that, yes, we did pay $169,000 for the system. We paid it outright, so there was no loans, there was no interest rates, and there was also no administrative work to go with that forever now, because it's all been paid for. There should be no maintenance moving forward. We expect to receive $370,000 over the life of the system as a net income. The system was designed so that we would cover the 84 megawatts of electric that we use annually. And after the first 7 months of production, you can see here that we have created just over 60 megawatts of electric. With 5 months to go, we are going to exceed that amount, and we would probably exceed the 90 megawatts that the installer said would be our average. Much of the electric costs are calculated by multiplying the electric rate, the electric usage by the electric rate, just like yours at home. You pay however much electric you use. You pay a rate of cost to as part of your bill. I think what you'll see is that the electric has been at 7.5 cents per kilowatt hour is what the township was paying. As of December, our rate just went up to 10.3%, I believe it is, which is a 35% increase. So that inflation will not affect us. And no inflation should affect us over the next 40 years. And that's one of the ways we're going to save on money and also pay back. The PP&L will do a true up in May. We're going to have many, many megawatts of electric stored up by then, and they'll pay us back for that. It could be anywhere up to about $5,000. And for SRECs, the solar renewable energy credits that we are selling, in the first 7 months, we've received $1,500. We thought we were going to receive about $3,000 or $2,000 for the year. I think it's more like $2,500 to $3,000 annually. So we're doing much better than we expected there also. Excuse me. So the 11-year payback is looking very good on the 40-year system. I would also like to say I've been speaking with Penridge School District, Palisade School District, Quakertown and School District, and also the Upper Bucks Tech School. They're all interested in bringing students over to look at the system. Penridge has approached me to start bringing over physics students starting in January if the school will allow them to do that. And one last thing, as I mentioned a couple months ago, the Perkiomen Watershed Authority has awarded us the Environmental Land Use Award for 2022 for what we're doing with that array. I would like to finish this project that I started. I would like to have permission from the board to continue moving forward with the landscaping, with the fence, and with the buffering from the road. These would all be expenses that would not come out of township taxpayer money. We were looking for grants and even maybe, I don't know, some other funding if we can get it. But I've had offers from people in the township, such as members of the Conservation Committee and Alex Ulmer, who's a member of the Planning Commission, to help me finish this up. So I would like to ask the supervisors if they would be in favor of allowing me to continue this. And that's all I had.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. You definitely have my support. Continue, working on this project.
Yes, I would also give my support to you, Jim.
Okay, thank you. I'm already looking
I don't
at trees and other things that we can use to buffer it, Jay. I know that's a concern of yours. So
Yes.
I would keep the board up to date on anything we come up with, show you designs, and I'd like to get something up there by spring when we can start planting. And that's all I had. Thank you.
Just please plan on Mr. Miller coming back to our meetings and giving us updates periodically on your progress.
Yes, I think the real one is, you can see from this chart that Greg put up back in June. You can see we were up around 11 megawatts. You can see how it drops down all the way to December. We'll probably produce about 4.5 megawatts, and then it's all going to start going back up again. And
Right.
if you sit and calculate all that out, the sun's pretty predictable. It comes up as predicted every day and goes down. The only thing we don't know is if it's going to rain or be cloudy. So I think using those calculations and using a model I built here at home, we are coming out at about 90 megawatts a year. So this is going to be good. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else have any other business they would like to discuss?
I have one thing, Mr. Chairman, if I may.
You may.
Last month, Mr. Dietzold expressed concerns over the trash there at Indian Rock Road. I drive by there quite a bit, and I looked at that situation. I would like the board to give the manager permission or instruct the manager to go over there and meet with the two property owners, Mr. Dietzold, who lives on Indian Rock, and then the neighboring property uphill there that has the property that would be in question as far as site distance. And I'd like the manager to look at that, talk to the two property owners if he may, and then come back to the board with his findings to see what might be able to be done to accommodate that issue there as far as getting trash picked up. It is a lot of vegetation that's in the front there, but I don't know. You have to have permission from the other property owner, and I think that there should be some dialogue done there. So if you would be willing to promote that as well, I would like you to instruct the manager to start that process.
That's my support. Mr. Miller?
Yes, I would agree. Yes.
That should take care of it. Mr. Lippincott?
Yes.
Okay with that?
I think that's a good start to a solution.
Great. Anything else, Mr. Kaiser?
That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other old business? Hearing none, we'll move on to new business, and I have nothing to discuss in the way of new business.
I have nothing.
I have nothing.
Thank you.
I would like to say I'm very, very happy to hear that the Planning Commission is going to move forward with laying out the plans for the 5-year plan. Thank you.
Good. Then let's move on to item number 13, public comment. If you have a public comment, you must please state your name and address and be reminded that you have 2.5 minutes for when you begin to speak. Anyone? Mr. Lippincott, do we have anyone?
I know Michael Schremeyer would like to speak.
Yes. Am I on then?
You are. Name and address, please.
All right. It's Michael and Regina Schromeyer, Sterner's Road. Jim Miller, our outgoing West Rock Hill supervisor, built a beneficial partnership and was a catalyst for impressive accomplishments to benefit residents. Jim's initiative, vision, and teamwork deserves to be noted with the following highlights. Holiday House Pool. Jim revitalized the pool with volunteers and donations to repair and paint the pool, renovate the bathhouse, repave the parking lot, and install LED lighting. The snack bar has new management. The pool now has sunshades, a sound system, zip line, bocce ball, and other games, helping summer 2021 be the best season in years. Government and fiscal transparency. Jim led the way in making our local government more transparent with handicapped access, security cameras, and updated audio and video technology. Recorded meetings, bill payments, and account balances are now on the township website for resident review. Reducing expenses and increasing service. Jim has been an excellent steward of our township financial resources. 2 large loans were renegotiated, saving $300,000. Jim and David honored the residents' campaign to eliminate expensive supervisor health insurance, saving $100,000 annually. $500,000 was available for road paving in 2021, the most ever. The general fund increased from $85,000 to $1.5 million, leaving the township in excellent financial condition. Forward vision. Jim planned for our future by installing solar panels, saving $370,000 over the 40-year life of the panels. A $9,000 grant was found for electric vehicles charging station in James Park. The Perkiomen Watershed Conservancy awarded the township for its innovative solution to energy. The solar project is already receiving interest from other townships and will continue to be a learning center for students and adults. Jim listened to residents and did his best to take our concerns into consideration. He brought a transparency and integrity to government that is not always readily apparent. Jim deserves credit for significant improvements in the township and leaves a legacy that will endure years after he leaves office. Jim, we would like to thank you for your unselfish service.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you for your kind words. I do appreciate that. I'm a little overwhelmed right now. This whole night's a little too much. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah.
Comment?
Charles Diesel, 1025 Indian Rock Road. Just give you an update on the trash. First off, I attended the commissioners meeting today at Bucks County, presented my issue with them. The chair, I guess her name is Diane Ellis Marcella. She had called me back, and I have to get together with her, and as well as some other individual. I believe it's either like Consumer Affairs or on their Planning Commission. They promised to get back to me and discuss it further. Again, it was a quick meeting. They always only allowed 2 minutes because they have a bunch of people complaining about vaccines and mandates. One other thing, relative to the, I'd be glad to have someone come out and look at our road. PennDOT owes us a 30-mile-an-hour sign around our turn that's never been put in there based on the plot or the plot plan that Greg had sent me. I'm not sure how we get that done, but that certainly would be another issue that we should get resolved as well. And beyond that, we were able to basically contract with this Peterson's waste removal. We started, I guess it was December 6th. They did serve out. We to collect trash, which is great. It's once a week, unlike the once a month that we were paying for with 1-800-JUNK. And hopefully it continues. Our only caveat again is, as Waste Management and Whitetail eat up these little competitors, the day they eat up one of this poor guy, which is a very small company out of Quakertown, then we'll be back in square one. And that was one of my issues today with the Board of Commissioners. There's got to be something done to protect residents from situations like that. But the good news is we have trash collection at this point, and hopefully it continues. Thank you.
Charles, this is Jim Miller. Just as a follow-up, I just wanted in the record that I was on the call also this morning, and it was Consumer Affairs at Diane that is going to meet with you. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Are there any other people that would like to make a public comment? Do we have anything, Mr. Lippincott?
I think Christina Shelley wanted to speak.
Yes, I do. Thank you very much.
2.5 minutes.
Thank you. I just have two brief comments and then a quick question.
Just need we need your address.
Thanks, Greg. I will get this right one of these meetings. My name is Christine Shelley. I'm at 50 Wayland Road. I concur with what the Schreemeyers said. Jim, thank you so much for your time and your service. I have watched you since I became civically involved 3 or 4 years ago, and you have been grace under fire. You work constantly showing people dignity and respect no matter the situation. And I think that you are to be commended for your service to this community. And we thank you very much for that. And we look forward to seeing you out in the community at the events coming up. And it's always nice to see your face out there. So you are just a shining star. And thank you. Thank you so much. My second comment is I just wanted to let the board know that 6 days after you voted to about Adelphia to cease the state line of fighting that's going on, we received a judgment, and the judge said, yes, the EHB must hear our case, that the state is where it belongs, and the EHB must make a ruling. So we're working on that now, but it was not 6 months or a year and a half. The EHB has, the judge ruled that the EHB must listen to our case. So we'll see what happens next. So my question is that recently a variance request that Adelphia made was granted by FERC for the heating and the light situation up there. And I was just curious if there are any, if what West Rock Hills ordinances are regarding like lights that are shining on our properties overnight as they're working up there. I know that there's nothing you can do, but I just wonder what our laws say about like me shining a light into my neighbor's yard overnight. Like what is our ordinance? And I'll stop talking so you can answer that. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. I'm not sure that we have that information at our fingertips right now tonight. Possibly Greg could follow up with you after this meeting and give you an answer. Greg?
Yeah, I can follow up and send her the section of the ordinance.
That's
Thank
fair.
Thank you very much. That is fair. I just wanted to let you know that had been granted from FERC. So I just wondered what once again they're going against our local laws and ordinances. So I'm just curious about that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else have public comment? Mr. Lippincott? Anyone?
No, that's it. I was just checking my email one more time.
Thank you. Hearing none, I'll look for a motion to adjourn the December 15th, 2021 meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Mr. Miller?
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Have a good holiday, everyone. Thank you for coming out this evening.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Yeah, Merry Christmas. Thank you.